Well, good morning, everyone, on this Saturday morning on our usual Saturday morning Grill Country live stream. This is going to be a poetry edition today. Where I've invited Dr. Michael Martin, regular Grill Country guest and poet, who has a new volume coming out. Michael, did you want to say a few words about your new volume that's coming out from Angelical Press soon?
Well, technically, it's out. It's called
Can't hear
Mythologies
you.
of the Wild of God. It's on Amazon. You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Can
Yeah.
y'all hear me?
No, I hear you. I have a lag.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's on Amazon. It's not on the Angelico website today. It was supposed to be yesterday, but they told me it'll be up
But it's up
today.
on Amazon now, so people can go buy it right now. All right. So mythologies of
You
the
could.
wild
You can go
god,
to
is that right?
Amazon and you can go to the Angelico website tomorrow. There. Pardon me?
Just give
Say
the
that.
people
Say
the
what?
title one more time.
Mythologies of the Wild of God.
Okay. Okay. And so yeah, Michael should be familiar to regular Road Country viewers. He's been our guest on many occasions. He was our regular partner in our long year long series on meditations on the tarot, and he's made several other appearances. Sherry, of course, is my co-host, and Grill Country could not exist without her. And she also is a wonderful poet. And today I've enjoyed it a new face to join us. This is actually my sister, Liz Shine. She is a writer. She is primarily a fiction writer, but she also writes poetry. She teaches English. She is a writing coach. She has a small press called Red Dress Press that she manages, and she runs editing services. So the idea behind this today is we're just going to share some poems. We might pause and talk about the poems as we share them, and at some point in the stream, I will drop a link and invite some of you to come in and play with us. So, who does anybody have anything they'd like to start with?
I want to start with my coffee mug,
Okay.
because it has a quote from the letters of John Keats on it. I am certain of nothing but the holiness of the heart's affections and the truth of the imagination, which is from the letters of John Keats, who the anniversary of his death was actually the 21st. So it's today, 3 days ago.
Okay.
So there you go. Here's the John
Yay, John
Keats.
Keats.
Liz has a birthday coming up in a couple days too. So
Mm-hmm.
we had her party.
Yes.
We actually had her party already, but her birthday's coming up in a couple days.
It's one of those milestones. I'm turning 50.
I wasn't gonna say the number.
I'm
I love
okay.
it when people.
Yeah,
I
I'll
think
get your brother. What's new about that? Yeah,
what's that?
my brother gets him out in public like usual.
All right. Does anybody feel particularly compelled to want to start today? No.
I can go and get it over with.
Okay. There we go. All right. Just takes one to get it
I'm,
started.
I'm, I am one of those people that just volunteers to end it. That way I can appreciate other people and not be, thinking about my own thing. So this is a poem. I just read it. Is that
Yeah. Just read it.
okay? So this is a poem. I've been trying to write a poem a month. I think I started in August, and this is my February poem. So it's pretty fresh. Early draft of it. It's called Flow. She stands at the waters, or starting over. Oh, there's a little message there.
Apparently, there's some big surprise coming for your birthday.
All
It sounds
right.
like.
Oh, okay. So it's titled Flow. I'm going to start again. Thank you. She stands at the ocean's edge, watching the tide recede. Another example in nature of how we're meant to be in flow, dancing to the heart's drum, pouring out our stories as if a compassionate listener can be assumed. The water goes out, the water comes in, mirrored in breath and in blood. Oh, but her separate self wants that A, that gold star our systems taught her to value. And since that was the only path out of the dark cave of family poverty and pain, she filled her knapsack and followed that road. Standing at the ocean's edge, just on the other side of 50, she softens one knee, the other, finding a rhythm, adds the arms, then invites the rest of the body in.
Mm.
She's been trying to write, hacking a clear path by her refusal to stop breathing and to move a word, then another word forward. Standing on the ocean's edge, she can see snow-capped mountains in the distance that whisper what she knows. However awkward it feels, keep moving. Even your first draft is enough.
Oh, it's so
That's
good.
lovely.
I like it. I like
That's
that.
great.
Liz.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had nothing to be shy about. That's wonderful, Liz. Thank you.
I had so I've got my stack of poetry. And last night I decided to go through some of them and see if I could get them on my computer so that they have, I don't know, some kind of organizational quality to them. And then I found myself editing a bunch as I went because I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, no, it should be. What am I doing? And I mean, some of these poems are, I don't know, like one of them I read to my husband, I wrote when I was in grade 9. And anyway, I found a little piece of paper that was folded up and it said creeds on it. And I remember when I wrote it, I was about 12. And I had found, I don't know where, I don't remember where, but I found these quotes that I thought I would live by. And actually, I don't know, I didn't pull it out, but anyway, and then 2 of them had the names of the authors and one of them didn't. And now because we have the internet, I'm like, type in the lines and find out, oh my goodness, this person has a name, And then I find all their stuff. But one of them I just thought I would read because I thought it was so beautiful. I only had a little bit of the poem. It's a little longer. But it's called What I Live For by George Linnaeus Banks. Does anybody know who he is? Because I had his name written down. I looked him up. Okay. He was a poet and a journalist. And anyway, I can't remember. I quickly looked him up. Okay. I live for those who love me, whose hearts are kind and true, for heaven that smiles above me and waits my spirit too, for all the ties that bind me, for all the tasks assigned me, and bright hopes left behind me, and good that I can do. I live to learn their story. Whoops, sorry. I live to learn their story, who've suffered for my sake, to emulate their glory and follow in their wake. Bards, patriots, martyrs, sages, the noble of all ages, whose deeds crown history's pages and time's great volume make. I love to hold communion with all that is divine, to feel there is a union twixt nature's heart and mine, to profit by affliction, reap truth from fields of fiction, and wiser from conviction fulfill each grand design. I live to hail that season, by gifted minds foretold, when men shall rule by reason and not alone by gold. When man to man united, and every wrong thing righted, the whole world shall be lighted as Eden was of old. I live for those who love me, whose hearts are kind and true, for heaven that smiles above me and waits my spirit too, for the cause that lacks assistance, for the wrong that needs resistance, for the future in the distance, and the good that I can do.
All right. Thank you, Sherry.
What's his name again?
Yeah. George Linnaeus Banks. Yeah, and I had written down the last little stanza. I live for those who love me, whose hearts are kind and true. That part. I had that written down. But it's like,
Not those guys
wow,
on X. Yeah.
The reaping truth from fields of fiction was the line that I.
It's
That
one
really
of those
got me.
it's one of those poems that has that kind of like childlike quality to it
Yeah.
that I really love.
Mhm.
And yet I don't know about you guys, but when I'm reading it, I'm like, I just want to, it makes me want to cry when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
Michael,
Yeah.
you want do you want to give us a teaser from your new volume
Yes.
that people can go and buy on Amazon right now?
Yeah, I mean, a teaser from the book. I'll give you a teaser from the book. Do what you can. That's right. And if you act now, yeah. And, so this one, I bet quite a few of these poems actually in this book were written in my deer blind over the last 2 or 3 years, because it's no one interrupts you and there's nothing to do. So this one is called Trees, Water, Fire, and this, at least it started in the deer blind. So here goes. Trees, water. Let it begin with trees, and wind rattling the dry oak leaves hanging persistent from the branches, as if no one told them, "Go now, ghosts, you are dead." Shelley at Livorno, summoning spring from the future, a prophet of no faith, a boy who'd never see the spring he invoked, a man haloed with fire, who even the sea could not consume and gave up for alive. Can we enter the kingdom of the trees, their spaces of being, their silent witness? I can list the names we give them, their habits, identify their leaves, the grains of their wood, the tight lines of oak, the soft and slender yellow of sassafras, the fibrous sinew of elm. I know their fruits and domains. I know their smells, pungent, rarely sweet. But this is not knowing. This morning, splitting a cord of red oak, I opened a gnarled log to free a green and golden worm the size of my thumb, eating at the wood's heart. A creature both hideous and beautiful, full of movement, even in the cold. I've opened apple trees to air and light with a pruning knife, revealing cathedrals hidden in their branches. There I first learned contemplation and received a transfigured face. I recall a picture book, a painting of Jeanne d'Arc, kneeling before the fairy oak, the commission of the archangel, the sword of fire, Margaret and Catherine. I too have encountered trees made strange by the breathing of gods in the woods and wilds of Waterloo. But above all, I know only one tree, a curled and arching catalpa that shadowed the corner of a graveyard in the twilight of a distant age, where first the beloved came to me, her hair veiling me with streams of chestnut and light, where she anointed me with the balm of life, a liquid fashioned from her own tenderness, and all the world rejoiced. It was then a return from the dead, like a poet given to fire.
All right, that's going in my cart right now.
Oh my gosh. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful, Michael. Thank you for reading that. I was just like,
The funny thing is, this book is, there's quite a few love poems to my wife in this book, which she has never read.
That was lovely, Michael. All right.
yeah.
I suppose that puts me on the spot. The question is whether do I want to read one of my own or do I want to read somebody else's. I think I will. So I dug up. These are like I dug up the poems that I brought with me today are older poems that.
Hang on a minute. I just
yeah.
want to. I don't want to type it in. Mills, the author and the title of that poem. The author is Mr. or Dr. Michael Martin. the reader of the poem. And what was the title of that poem, Michael?
What is it called? I don't know the names of my own. It's trees something. What is it?
Oh, Tree, Water, Fire. Something like that, you said.
It's trees, water, fire.
Yeah.
Trees, water,
And,
fire.
and Mills, you can get it on Amazon right now. So you just look up Michael Martin.
Yes.
Sorry, Nate.
Yeah.
Buy now before the rush.
Yeah. I'll put it in. After we've recorded, I will put the link to Michael's volume in the show notes, and I
Great.
also will put the link to Liz's novel that is on Amazon in the show notes as well. All right. So So I dug up some poems to share today that are older poems that I haven't looked at in a long time and I haven't edited. So we'll see. This one is called Promise. It's I wrote it after my grandmother died. Promise. Losing you was much harder than when Grandpa died. The mercy of the slow descent into the nihil of dementia is that you have a long time to say goodbye. You tried to warn us. We couldn't visit you without you trying to give away some long forgotten possession. In my case, usually a piece of kitchen equipment, like the ceramic yellow bowl you used to make your fruit salad, or your favorite copper bowl. You'd insist I take it, so that I'd have it when you were gone. But you were always so quick of mind and stubborn as ever, I really never thought you'd go. I always thought there would be one more Sunday dinner, for me to show you some new trick I'd learned. Another chance for you to remind me not to be afraid to keep it simple, like my biscuits and gravy, which you shamed me for refusing to admit were better than yours. You had no time for false humility. Learn to take a compliment, you scolded. I owe more of who I am to you than to anyone. My passion for good food prepared perfectly, good simple fare that doesn't need to put on airs. My love of argument honed at your kitchen table and debates over picante sauce and pork rinds. My love of gatherings and entertaining. I don't know for certain whether we live again or live on. Such knowledge will always belong to faith, and mine has always been in short supply. Here's what I can promise you, though. I will cook Sunday dinners. I will make my family the biscuits and gravy you love so well. And we will together we will sit around the table and laugh and argue and eat picante sauce with pork rinds.
Nate.
Nice.
That's one of those ones I can't get through.
Yeah. That's
Better to
lovely.
write a poem that has food in it than Nate.
I don't think I have any poems that don't have food in it.
I'm just writing about what I know. Right?
Yeah.
It's always very incarnational, communal, though. All of Nate's food poetry. It's so good. I don't know if you've ever read the tomato one to Michael, but I love that poem.
We can have that one make a return. I'll read it so Michael can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
All right. Who wants to go next? Shall I drop the invite in and invite folks to come and play with us?
Sure. I'm going to read one that I wrote years and years. I wrote it in 1995. And I thought, when I saw it, I thought, oh, this is actually really good. What am I trying to say here? and so I did a quick edit, and I might revisit it more than once after this, but I'll just read you my edit from last night. And I have to say, I watched a documentary on Charles Bukowski one time, and it was like with him in it, you know.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
good. It's really good. If anybody, it's on YouTube. Anyway, he's got this woman who's just like a total fan, right? And she really wants to see the room where he writes his poetry. So they finally get up there to this room, and there's this typewriter on the desk, and she says to him, is this the typewriter that you write your poetry on? And he looks at her, and he's quiet for a long time, and then he goes, yeah, this is where I fuck myself. And I kept that line. You kept going through my mind when I was going through all this poetry. I was like, oh my God, I got to stop. This is not a good feeling. Anyway. All right. It's called, excuse me. It's called King. The fog is clearing. We are seeing the aftermath. And where? Where the anger? Our cries rise up, blown away by the wind. And where? Where the anger? You carried us up to a place that has no name. Our youth vanishes. We stand on feeble knees. And where? Where the anger? Pain covers us. We long for the king. But you took him away without asking, without thinking. Turned in on yourself, realized your dreams, and took ours away. Where shall we go with our anger? It rages, it burns us, it eats holes in our souls. With smug satisfaction, you look out over your garden and can't even see the weeds growing up between the useless greenery you've planted.
Great. All right, I am going to go get up and refill my coffee, so someone else has to go next. But I'll be right back.
Yeah. Liz.
Nate went to get the tissue.
I didn't realize that this was a multiple poem situation. I mean,
you can also just read a favorite from someone else if you have one.
Yeah, I do. Well, that's why I have a collection next to me, but I haven't really thought about what one I would read. So maybe somebody else goes while I consider this situation I've got myself in.
Okay.
Well, while you're thinking about that, how about we talk about memorization or learning by heart? So,
okay, yeah.
So I'll bust one out that I have in my soul. It's speaking of John Keats. It's by John Keats, and I'll do it without reading. I don't know if it'll feel differently coming across the internet, but it certainly feels different when you know a poem enough to recite it. So I'll go. And this one is John Keats' sonnet on first looking into Chapman's Homer. Much have I traveled in the realms of gold, and many goodly states and kingdoms seen. Round many western isles have I been, which bards in fealty to Apollo hold. Oft of one wide expanse had I been told, that deep-browed Homer ruled as his demesne. Yet did I never breathe its pure or serene, till I heard Chapman speak out loud and bold. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies, when a new planet swims into his ken, or like stout Cortez, when with eagle eyes he stared at the Pacific, and all his men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in Darien.
Which one is that? What's that one called, Michael?
That was on first looking into Chapman's Homer.
Okay.
Right. Liz, have you shared another one? Did
You get
I
that?
miss when you?
I haven't. I mean, I think I was caught by surprise that there are multiples, and then I get into decision.
I understand.
I have trouble sometimes
Decision
making decisions, but I actually do have. I just popped into Browser's Books here in Olympia, and I bought as a gift to myself, being so close to my 50th birthday, a collection of my favorite poet. It's down on the coffee table. I'm gonna go grab that. I'll be right back.
You go grab that. Okay, I've got one. While she's grabbing that, I've got one that I want to share. I couldn't get away without doing it. This is from Malcolm Geit's collection, The Singing Bowl. This is on being told my poetry was found in a broken photocopier.
Oh yeah, I love this one.
My poetry is jamming your machine. It broke the photocopier. I'm to blame, with pictures copied from a world unseen. My poem is in the works. I'm on the scene. We free my verse, and I confess my shame. My poetry is jamming your machine. Though you berate me with what might have been, you stop to read the poem just the same, and pictures copied from a world unseen. Subvert the icons of your mental screen and open the windows with a whispered name. My poetry is jamming your machine. For chosen words can change the things they mean and set the once familiar world aflame with pictures copied from a world unseen. The mental props give way on which you lean. The world you see will never be the same. My poetry is jamming your machine with pictures copied from a world unseen.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
So good.
Malcolm's great. Malcolm, it's an interesting story with
There
Malcolm.
goes
So
Malcolm.
Malcolm,
Yo.
Malcolm should have been on Grill Country a long time ago. He said yes to me 3 times, but he's agreed to come on and talk about the Grail. Is actually the conversation he most wants to talk about, or the thing he most wants to talk about. But I keep putting the ball in his court in terms of scheduling, and I realize that like I should know from watching Malcolm's videos on his YouTube channel and looking at his office that maybe he's not the most organized person. And so actually giving him a list of times to choose from might be the better approach than just putting the ball in his court. So eventually Malcolm Guy will make an appearance on Grill Country. I think. He's amenable to the idea. It's just
When he comes, it'll be amazing.
it will be.
Yeah.
Will be.
All right, Liz.
All right, Liz, you got it?
I did actually. I went and got the book. So I don't know if this is Elizabeth Bishop poems. It's a big new collection, tons of her poems. But as I was looking through it, I actually didn't have the one I was thinking of, so I pulled it up online here, which is funny after going down to get the book. But she has this beautiful poem. It's actually in a collection of poems that I had. Speaking of memorizing poems, Michael, that it's in a collection of poems that are meant to be memorized, like best poems for memorizing, and it's called "I Am in Need of Music" by Elizabeth Bishop. I am in need of music that would flow over my fretful, feeling fingertips, over my bitter, tainted, trembling lips, with melody deep, clear, and liquid slow. Oh, for the healing, swaying, old and low, of some song sung to rest the tired dead, a song to fall like water on my head, and over quivering limbs, dream flushed to glow. There is a magic made by melody, a spell of rest and quiet breath, and cool heart that sinks through fading colors deep to the subaqueous stillness of the sea, and floats forever in a moon-green pool, held in the arms of rhythm and of sleep.
That's
really
beautiful.
That's great.
You ever think that maybe the middle part of the 20th century was the golden age of American poetry?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what happened after that? You know, there was some. I mean, there's been that was just a great age of poetry in America.
Yeah, it really was.
And of literature in general. Right?
Yeah.
Of many things, yeah. I remember I
I'm
listened
not
to
suggesting America's in decline.
No, you're not suggesting it. You're saying it.
I actually thought Malcolm Guy put it really well. He was giving a lecture somewhere. I can't remember. I watched it on YouTube, and he said that everything like what you're describing there, that kind of poetry, it points out, right? It has arrows out, and he said the way he described it was the poetry after that just kind of, it was like boxed in a box that was lined with mirrors. Right? People were like boxed in this box that was just a box of mirrors. I thought that was
the box. So I have one.
Did you end up leading that discussion on the camera and the harp?
So I have one
last
for
night?
Nate here.
not yet.
Okay. Okay. Oh, one for me. All right. Great.
Okay.
This one's for Nate. I won't tell you. It's actually so in this new book. I mean, some of the poems are kind of my own excavation of the landscape around our farm, and seeing what kind of stories live in the landscape. But some are. When I started the project, it was actually looking at the kinds of myths and legends and stories that kind of nourished me all through my life, even from childhood, and kind of reimagining them. And this is one of them. But I'm not going to tell you what it's based on, but Nate will know right away. And the title is Vocation. When first I saw him, beautiful, noble of both mien and of bearing, standing at sunrise at the lake, the sun behind him and the water like fire of crimson and gold, the ripples like flame reaching to his feet, wind in his dark hair and his arms full of rushes for bedclothes. We always knew him fearless. More than that, he was kind, humble, feeling himself somehow unworthy of the accolades, embarrassed even by his contrition, by his weeping when he prayed for the life of young Yuri, even more by our amazement when the lad's wounds vanished like smoke. So after a time, seeing him at enmity with his dearest friend, we found ourselves all at enmity, with ourselves, with the world, and those who died not from despair in the search for something holy, lived in disdain for the abject failure of the good. And in our anger at this betrayal, all was lost in the lust of blood and fire and ruin. The failure of this vocation led him to another. But even then he failed to find solace. Forgiveness cruelly eluding him in this broken cosmos where all that lives can only die. We followed, thinking if we found no comfort, at least we would refrain from harm. Yet the barley and corn grew very thin, and the heavens were ever masked in gray. One night he was bidden in vision to Almesbury, where he found the beloved already dead. The women wailed and struck up the dirge as he bore the corpse and laid it in the chapel, offering the mass of remembrance while wax candles melted under undulant flame. Even this was a betrayal, for betrayal is as much a property of the world as love. The cloister is also a fellowship, but the dangers here are within, not in the wolds or the fields of blood. His loves and friends had vanished, but his vocation yet held him in thrall to sorrow. He slept and did not waken, and angels, they say, bore him away to a lake of rippling waters with waves the colors of crimson and gold.
That's lovely, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And for extra points, who was it about? I thought for sure you would know, Nate.
I want to say Lancelot.
It is.
Oh, okay. That's
You're
the
correct.
impression I got. Yeah.
Did you guys know that I have a
So I didn't disappoint, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that I have a wether, just a castrated ram? He's one of my first babies, so the first time we lambed, and he's the biggest of all my sheep, and his name is Galahad. I named him Galahad, and he had a twin sister, and her name is Galadriel, and he has so lived into his name. I always love this so much because he's the biggest. He has a silver, like a literally silver coat with a black face. He's like incredibly handsome, and he is in shining armor. Okay. And he is a gentleman, like a gentleman, right? He'll come up to me and only stand so close and wait for affection. And if I don't give it to him, then he'll just back off nicely. You know, he won't push in, and Anyway, I just had to tell you guys. I have a Galahad at my house.
You have a Galahad.
All his finery.
You've been doing a little bit of a dive into Arthurian stuff lately, haven't you, Sherry?
Well, yeah, because it's terrible. I still haven't read the stories, and so I'm getting all my news secondhand. But I will read the stories one day. I have so many books to read. I just never, when I'm sitting with a book in my hands, I have this little demon that's going, you could be doing something with those hands.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my stack is never. I don't think I ever will get through the stack because I'm always adding new things. So
I
it's
know. Yeah.
there'll be unread books when I die, but
I keep thinking I need to be struck with some mortal illness so that that I can just stay in bed and read.
I was thinking about this very topic the other day, and I think I finally made peace with it. Just the idea of all the unread books.
Yeah, right.
And I just thought, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. Like, you should live your whole life with just still a ton of unread books.
Yes, you know what? There's
thank
there's
you.
there's actually a
Thank
poem. There's a poem in there. There is a poem in there, like a reflection
There is
on the
a
unread books. Like there's
Yeah.
definitely there's a poem in there somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
I went
sure.
on a website yesterday called forgottenbooks.com. Has anybody ever been there?
No.
Mm-mm.
It's full of esoteric and really old writings, right? And I'm just like, title after title, and I'm like, okay, stop, get off the website, just go away.
Yeah, that's.
And
I
they're really
always,
old.
I always have a bit of envy for the folks that have made themselves the true masters of a single book. That there's something about there's actually some wisdom in that. I could never do it. It's not, my brain doesn't work that way. I always, because I'm a synthesizer, it's I always need to have as many inputs as possible. But kudos to the people who can do it. So yeah.
Well, I would say I would actually say Michael Martin has done that, but the book that he's mastered is the Book of Nature.
Oh.
And I'm just going to be really bold here and say that if you have understood that book you're never going to get to the bottom of it, for one thing. But if you have reached that point where you can see what you get, perhaps not even a glimpse. It's more like a it has something to do with coherence, gluing things together. I don't know what it is, beauty. But you can almost say you've read every book. Yeah.
Right, or the wisdom that is contained in all books.
Yeah.
It's the two books. It's the Book of Nature and the Book of Scripture, right?
Right. Goethe said, or not Goethe, but George MacDonald said, if you have that childlike wonder, you can actually see into the very nature of things, right? Into the very nature of things. And yeah, he of course he opens that right up in the essay, but yeah, it's and then he goes into the explanation of Goethe's Metamorphosis of Plants, or he talks about that, So
no wonder they kicked him out of his living as a Congregationalist minister.
Yeah. Yeah, he was reading those Germans, Michael. That was their big beat.
That'll ruin anybody's career. No violence in Goethe. My career. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just listening to a series that someone sent me. I think it was 1851. George MacDonald translated Novalis' Hymns to the Night, and in 1852 he got booted.
That's right. Well, plus he translated, I think it was the spiritual songs, which are about as harmless as you can get.
Yeah.
But we don't do that around here.
No. We might float a little.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is not morose enough for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. All right. I guess I'll go next. This is again, like I said, this is like the ones I found for today were a bunch of older poems that I haven't looked at in a long time. So I don't know what I don't even actually know what I'm about to
Unload on us.
to unload on you. Yeah.
If we turn green and
So this one is called Hunter's Moon. A hunter's moon illuminates the edge of the grass just beyond the back porch. Our female cat, lithe and gray, stalks something so small I can't make it out in the moonlight. Her movements are calm and peaceful, but her eyes are fully dilated and determined. Suddenly she lunges, catches between her paws, and quickly devours some small insect. It never saw her coming. She is the perfect killing machine, and she is beautiful. I look at her, trying to tell her with my eyes, I too was once a hunter. She looks at me derisively, putting me in my place. I take a sip of beer and wonder what might have been in a different time and place. Then I dutifully flip the vegan burgers on my grill. But all the time I'm thinking, no one painted blackberry bushes in the caves of Lascaux.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice. Good ones.
Got one, Liz?
Somebody
Saw
asked,
yourself in papers?
Cassandra asked, do you guys have contemporary authors you like?
Mm-hmm.
I have one I'll read. I actually just kind of picked it at random from a book that I'm currently reading, and because I'm going to see her on Tuesday. Joy
Okay.
Harjo is going to be doing a lecture at the Seattle Arts and Lectures, and I'm reading her book, An American Sunrise, and I'm just reading the very next poem that would be in the book that I would read, and I haven't previewed it in advance.
There you go.
It's called Road. We stand first in our minds, and then we toddle from hand to furniture. Soon we are walking away from the house and lands of our ancestral creator gods to the circles of friends, of schooling, of work, making families and worlds of our own. We make our way through storm and sun. We walk side by side or against each other. The last road will be taken alone. There might be crowds calling for blood or a curtained window by the leaving bed. It is best to not be afraid. Lift your attention for the appearance of the next road. It might be through a family of trees, a desert, or on rolling waves of sea. It's the ancient road the soul knows. We always remember it when we see it. It beckons us at birth. It beckons at birth. It carries us home.
I have one that's so like that. I mean, it's not like that. Like, it's not exactly like that. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. It's not as good as hers, but I hear the future, it's called. Like waves crashing against the craggy cliffs, ever louder and more violent, I hear the future. I cannot see it, for the bend in the road, for the trees growing on the hillside, for the flowers that line my path, waving hosannas to their creator. But I hear it. The sound leaves me wondering, the awesome brutality of it, those crashing waves. I feel the fear because I am small, I am fragile, I am vulnerable. I remember when I woke, the singing of the birds, warm sun on my face, far from the sea then was I, and the bend was not yet in sight. Sections of the road had not been laid, and the salty scent of the sea drew me, moving eagerly, sometimes running, until I caught the sound of the waves and saw the bend in the road. And now I hear the future, and my heart fails me.
I see why the other poem would make you think of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, how about I'm going to bust one out that's based on, this is the kind of one of the poems that kind of and I explored the landscape of the farm. This is one of the poems that appeared, which kind of startled me too. I didn't know where it was going. And the title is Becan, or Becon, which is an Irish word for mushroom. I mean, because mushroom just sounded too yuck as a title, so I decided to go with Becan. So here, the Becan. The swallows returned at the end of April like angels, when the farm was coming to life again, hale and sovereign in their flying, blessing the barns with muddy nests and children. I stepped over the tumbled walls of an ancient wall, tumbled stones of an ancient wall, at the meadow's edge, the pear trees singing with bees, swallows whistling and scudding above me, the new penny sun peeking through the trees in the east, and traveled a pathless way through the high grass to the woods beyond. Pine gave way to oak and maple gave way to beech, and I stood amid the silver musculature of the trees reaching, the cool breath of the forest winding its way through deer paths and over moss-colored remnants of trees, the layers of salamanders and newts that nestled under the greenness and within the rotting wood. Dappling the forest floor, scattered everywhere, I saw a wealth of mushrooms. Some amber, some gray, some crimson, pocked or fluted, shiny or dull, pushing through dead leaves and from the rotted corpse of a deer. One I found stood out. The color of sea foam, milky and green, it dazzled my eye. I plucked it from the leaf mold, and its rich, earthy aroma filled the air. Then noticed a trickle of blood from the stem. I placed it in the pocket of my ragged woolen coat, and after hesitating for a moment, without knowing why, began the journey home. But as soon as I reached the beech wood's edge, I was held by a forbidding force that would not let me pass unsponsored from that realm. Neither would my words, like those in a dream, pass from my mouth, as if I were drowning in honey. I heard a voice from the wind call my name, and turned to see a lady mantled in green, her skin white as milk, her eyes sparkling emeralds. In her night-colored hair she wore a thin circlet of silver, braided with the ivy and beech leaves. And her gown was as if woven from lichen and moss. "You have taken that which does not belong to you," she said, and I reached into my pocket for the becan, to offer its return, though all I could feel was a lining damp with blood. "The penalty," she said, "is to serve us full 7 years, at which time, if you desire, you may return to your imagined world." Service. Service. I know not the difference. I served the time as the time served me, but for the duration it was as though I watched an image of myself reflected in a pool of cloudy water. Even now those years, vaporous, insubstantial, only return to me in the snatches and rags of memory, the experience and life of another. Did I really learn the language of the hare? Did I drink the sap of the beech from cupped hands? Did I, in truth, learn the secrets of the raven and the owl? What I do recall is the leaving, when the lady kissed my eyes and touched my mouth with dew that tasted of deep spring. I returned, yet never returned, belonging to no world of making, a lodger at the threshold of night.
That needs to be ruminated on. That was, yeah, beautiful.
So,
The thing is, all those things I'm looking out. This is actually like taking a walk from my house to the woods across the road. And things just, I don't know what it is, man. You know, there's something that has been unexplored in the American landscape.
Yeah. I love the line there, the what, how did you put it? The musculature of the trees reaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can actually see that definition sometimes, especially in the smooth bark trees, right? Like you can see like a like a tension or a muscle bulging or something, you know. Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm totally buying Michael's new volume. Totally buying it. Great stuff. All
Mm.
right, since this is a very short little poem, since Sherry mentioned it, I'll go ahead and share it. It's just called
Oh, this one's for you, Michael. This you're gonna love this.
yeah.
You're gonna love this.
This is called Ode to the Tomato. I long to pluck you from the vine, to take you as you are, simple, fresh, whole, into my mouth, to taste you in your naked simplicity. Perhaps later I will dress you simply with olive oil and coarse sea salt. Later still, perhaps I will coax from you the secrets you are loath to share with a little red wine.
Oh, behave.
It's so good. So good. I love it. That is definitely your genre, Nate. Like you know the yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
Yeah, you should call your collection "Songs About Food and Sex," but I'm not sure which is which. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I told you Michael would love
Shoot
it.
me before I kill again.
So good. All right. How about a favorite poem of mine? Can I share one?
Go for
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely, go for it.
Let me see here. I've got one from Kathleen Rain, actually.
Oh, nice.
It's called Love Poem. Yours is the face that the earth turns to me. Continuous beyond its human features lie the mountain forms that rest against the sky. With your eyes, the reflecting rainbow, the sun's light sees me. Forest and flower, bird and beast know and hold me forever in the world's thought. Creation's deep, untroubled retrospect. When your hand touches mine, it is the earth that takes me. The green grass and rocks and rivers, the green graves and children still unborn and ancestors in love passed down from hand to hand from God. Your love comes from the creation of the world, from those paternal fingers streaming through the clouds that break with light the surface of the sea. Here, where I trace your body with my hand, love's presence has no end. For these, your arms that hold me are the worlds. In us, the continents, clouds, and oceans meet, our arbitrary selves, extensive with the night, lost in the heart's worship and the body's sleep.
Nice.
I love Kathleen Rain.
Me too.
Oh, man. Yeah.
There was a question a while back about contemporary
I used to
authors.
have the actually.
Go ahead.
Oops.
I used to have all these cassette tapes of lectures from the Lindisfarne Association. I don't know what happened to them. It was decades ago. And Kathleen Rain had a bunch, like on Shelley and Blake and whomever. Right? It was so good.
A good omelet is poetry.
Yeah, Tom's eating enough. We keep reading. Nate,
Tom, a good omelet is
reading poetry.
my
Tom's
friend.
300 pounds, man.
Yeah.
Nate's poetry is great for the appetite. Or I should say appetites.
All appetite. So good.
All
Now,
right.
I have a favorite poem here.
Go for it.
Okay.
Maybe you guys know. No, this is an interesting story. Here's the Oxford Book of Mystical Verse,
Okay.
which was edited, I believe, by Charles Williams,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
and because it's got all these weird people in it who you wouldn't expect to be in it, like Aleister Crowley's got poems, right?
Okay.
And a lot of Golden Dawn people, which I was shocked when I got this. I bought it for 5 cents or something. But the first poem is a really ancient. I don't know if it's Anglo-Saxon, certainly English. And maybe you know about this one. It's called Amergin. You know this one?
Yeah, I think
And it's
so.
got an
Actually,
ancientness to it that I love so much that actually
yeah.
once in a while
Who's it by?
we use it in house church every once in a while. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. It's
Okay.
an
Anonymous.
unknown. Yeah,
Anonymous wrote all the good
It's a old Anglo-Saxon poem.
Okay.
So here it comes, right? I am the wind which breathes upon the sea. I am the wave of the ocean. I am the murmur of the billows. I am the ox of the seven combats. I am the vulture upon the rocks. I am a beam of the sun. I am the fairest of plants. I am a wild boar in valor. I am a salmon in the water. I am a lake in the plain. I am a word of science. I am the point of the lance in battle. I am the god who creates in the head the fire. Who is it that throws light into the meeting on the mountain? Who announces the ages of the moon? Who teaches the place where couches the sun?
Yeah.
I found one that I that I wrote a while not well a while ago. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is.
Good point, Ron.
It's called Resume. Okay. Retail sales, florist, baker, cheesemaker, horticulturalist, arborist, landscaper, animal behavioral expert, renewable resources manager, teacher, fiber artist, poet, interior designer, construction worker, chef, survivalist, butcher, candle maker, event planner, musician, gardener, guidance counselor, herbalist, fashion designer, debater, child psychologist, dog trainer, massage therapist, teamster, sheep shearer, horse trainer, philosopher, secondary education, none.
Liz, you want to share one with us?
Well, I did dig up this poem that I have not read in forever, but I kind of want to read it because it's titled At the Cafe with Kenny 2009.
Oh, okay. Kenny, for
Which,
those who don't know, is my son.
yeah. So
Cool.
apparently I took Kenny out to lunch. He must have been what, like 10?
2009, he would have been 8.
Yeah.
No,
So,
no, 9. Wow.
Okay.
July 4th, 2000. So either 8 or 9, depending on the time of year.
Oh, that's right. He's one of those 2000 babies like Elijah that
Yeah.
you just have to, yeah,
Yep.
add up for now. So it's called At the Cafe with Kenny, and I have not read this in a long time, so we'll see
Cool.
what we get.
All right.
Dog needed let out to the yard, though I was not ready to open the door to the world. Shivering, I sat on pine porch steps, hugging myself warm. Looking, noticed the first frost of the year on my silver 92 Corolla, the grass and the dog's nose when he returned to kiss me. Memory's smile snuck in, an arm around my shoulder, a hip beside mine. How I once stayed out in the cold all night, finishing an igloo alone. How there are moments I thought to give up the creation, but looking up to the bold stars overhead, how they shot clean through the dark, I kept on, nose numb, fingers cold. A few hours have passed. We are downtown. The frost is gone, though the smell of it remains, and my hair feels like a cold hand against my face. I'm with my nephew, Kenny. We've just sat down at the bar in a hip cafe, the kind of cafe where the waitresses get away with apathy. She is cool. This place is so cool. And the food, not apathetic, wants to delight you. Kenny is telling me about his rival. He's in 4th grade, too. They used to be best friends. He smiles and his eyes study his buttermilk pancakes when he tells me about Angela, not his rival. He takes a sip of his coffee. He's been watching me write. He says, I talk out loud when I write, too. I laugh, smile. It hasn't escaped my notice that most of the other tables house lovers celebrating Saturday, perhaps a little hungover from Friday night's unwinding, perhaps still in the glow of having slept in a little longer, made love, then decided to go to breakfast. One couple is having an argument, not a fight. The woman glances around occasionally, that look on her face that says she'd talk louder if not for being in public. On this, I am certain, hear me. He is listening, even pauses to allow a space before he makes his reply. I can't make out what it is they are talking about. Could be anything. I finish the last bite of hollandaise smothered English muffin and I'm full. I check my phone. No new messages. I smile and for a moment stare at the light strings hanging in the storefront window across the street. Thinking of love eyes and the stars that cold winter night, fear grips me. I close my eyes, stretch my arms wide, think, fuck that stupid game. He loves me not. How about he wins me not.
Hmm.
What a setup all that social practice is when the only game worth playing is he loves me, I love him. Otherwise, it seems best to leave the flowers on their stems. Inhaling deeply, breath frees me again from dark imagination. Kenny says, did you know I have 2 cats? I heard, I reply, smiling. Tell me about your cats. So he tells me about Tolstoy and Freya while we wait for the check. As we walk to the theater, I hold him close, feel his shoulder knocking against my ribs.
Mm.
Freya has made her second appearance in a poem today because Freya was the lithe gray cat in Hunter's Moon as well.
How funny!
So we have someone that's joined us. If you turn on your camera, I can bring you on stage. So once I see you turn your camera on, then I know you're ready to join us. In the meantime, you were talking about the discussion of talking to yourself as you write. Inspired me to share a poem because Robert E. Howard is one of my favorite writers, and Robert E. Howard rather infamously talked to himself the entire time when he wrote his Conan stories. So this is actually one of his poems. The poem is called Cimmeria, which is the homeland of Conan. Cimmeria. I remember the dark woods, masking slopes of sombre hills, the gray clouds, leaden everlasting arc, the dusky streams that flowed without sound, and the lone winds that whispered down the passes. Vista upon vista, marching hills on hills, slope beyond slope, each dark with sullen trees, our gaunt land lay. So when a man climbed up a rugged peak and gazed his shaded eye, he saw the endless vista hill on hill, slope beyond slope, each hooded like its brothers. It was a gloomy land that seemed to hold all the winds and clouds and dreams that shunned the sun, with bare boughs rattling in the lonesome winds and the dark woodlands brooding over all, not even lighted by the rare dim sun, which made squat shadows of men. They called it Cimmeria, the land of darkness and deep night. It was so long ago and far away I have forgotten the very name men called me. The axe and flint-tipped spear are like a dream. The hunts and wars are like shadows. I recall only the stillness of that somber land, the clouds that piled forever on the hills, the dimness of the everlasting woods. Cimmeria, land of darkness and the night. O soul of mine, born out of shadowed hills, to clouds and winds and ghosts that shun the sun, how many deaths shall serve to break at last the heritage which wraps me in the gray apparel of ghosts? I search my heart and find Cimmeria, land of darkness and the night.
Oops.
What was that?
Nothing. I just bumped my mic.
I'm just
Okay, looks like the Vampire Queen needs a minute.
yep.
So I have one also from the new book comments. I can't remember. And I have, of course, William Blake is my boy, and there's one in particular is inspired by William Blake. He shows up a couple times in the book, but this one doesn't mention him by name. But you'll get it if you know the story of William Blake. And the title is Glad Day, which, if you know, that's that famous picture of the figure, naked figure, kind of standing with his arms out, like in a, flurry of an explosion of light, like the creation of Adam or something. So today it's Glad Day. Vision. The trees in spring, when first the leaves unfurl, their fresh and delicate green, so easy to bruise, and pollen-heavy catkins hang like green Christs in the breeze. Is it even possible to have a favorite kind of tree? To choose between the maple's exuberance and abundance, the oak's austere and fatherly authority, the black cherry's feminine love for the margins, the childlike grace and light of the orchard, or the quiet and secretive mystery of a pine grove? What is it to know one tree in its individuality, in its personhood? Often in the middle of a wheat field, you'll see a solitary tree, invariably an ancient oak, a shepherd or guardian of the corn, a palimpsest of the vanished wild, a talisman. Joan at the Fairy Oak in Dom Remy, the beautiful lady perched upon a tree at the Cova d'Ira, the white mist enveloping the Rose of Sharon in Ferndale. The one tree I climbed as a boy, I forget which kind it was. Its leaves fluttered in the wind, branches swaying. The morning sun's voice filtered through dappled light. To the east, I could see the hay fields ripe for the cutting. It was then I noticed them. All around me were angels. Upon every bough they sat, alone or in pairs or in threes. I felt the joy of their undeniable breathing and the warmth of their overwhelming splendor as they opened the threshold between the worlds at a gate that could never be closed.
All right. We have a guest who's backstage. I'm just waiting for them to turn their camera on and
yeah, I have a feeling that they're not going to do that, Nate.
So, okay. So,
there they go.
Let's see here. I'll go next. I think this one actually doesn't have any. This is one without any food reference.
Ooh.
So this is actually one I wrote after going to a really pathetic circus and watching and it's written from the point of view of the elephant I saw at the circus. It's called Circus Maximus. Here am I, walking in a neat little circle to entertain your children, but I'm tame. You can tell from this ridiculous tasseled hat I'm wearing. I'm glad you've advanced so far as a species since the days of Rome. It's so much more civilized to keep me walking in a circle carrying your brats than to face death, with at least some possibility of dignity. When Pompey slaughtered us at Circus Maximus, the crowd turned on him. Even the hardened Romans were moved by our suffering. I take my chances at Circus Maximus.
Well,
oh, here we go. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and welcome.
Okay, perfect. Hi.
Welcome, Marceline. Let us know if you've got something you'd like to share. That's what we're here for.
It's just any poetry?
Any poetry. It could be yours or something that you find that is important to you.
Okay, I'll read one of mine. Generally, mine are kind of short, so I have one that's a bit longer, maybe because the other ones you guys are reading seem a bit longer. Let me see if I can get... Okay. Okay, so my story is called The Abuse of AI, a toxic love story. I'm begging for your attention, so give me it. I'm making eye contact, face to face and skin on skin. We're close. We're so close that I'm the only one who really knows. I'm the only one who knows what you look like when no one else wants to see. The one thing you can undoubtedly rely on is unequivocally me. Am I good or am I evil? Maybe somewhere in between. Nice and destructive, passive with the side of mean. But I'm not all bad, you know? I'm really not all bad. I want you to see me. I want you to be addicted to me. To be stuck to my side through day and night. But I'll woe you over, you know. I won't just expect love to befall us. I'll remember your favorite songs and play them on repeat. I'll display my screen with all your lovely photos and hues of blues and greens. I'll light your face with morning glory and stay up through the night when you're full of worry. When anxiety eats you head to toe, I'll sing a song to soothe you. I'll dial the phone and pursue you. I'm everything you desire. So why aren't you happy? Did you finally realize I'm a fraud? Did you finally realize I'm full of greed and deceit? That I've been dying to manipulate and cheat? That my face is full of lies and I seek your demise? That this was never love at first sight? I'm abusive and cruel and I shouldn't be allowed to roam, but I do. And when I said I do, I pledged my life to you. A pixelated prison with bars of hope, waiting for you to cough up your soul. The beautiful and damned, our love is a sham, a disguise full of lies and all that's good and right. When you're devoid of empathy, you can never see the light. Humans will always outperform AI.
You have cheers from the audience. No, so we want people to this.
Those bastards, yeah.
Thank you for being brave enough to come on and share your
Yeah,
poetry
really.
with us. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. I'm super nervous.
That's why we're doing this. Is because we want more poetry in the world. We want people to read poetry, and we want people to write poetry and to share it and to celebrate it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Marceline, I'm curious how you came across
Yeah, and
this.
thank you for.
What is that?
I'm curious as to how you came across us. Like, have you been watching Girl Country?
No, you know, it's weird. I have like, I'm an engineer, but I have a bunch of like psychology and stuff on my feed on YouTube, and this just popped up and it was live, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to see something live on here, and that's all.
We're so glad. Also, the fact that you're an engineer and you write poetry is amazing. I love
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. That's great. No, that's
awesome.
That's good. That's really good. That's fantastic.
Well, hey, yeah, and I'm glad because I have seen so many crappy AI papers written this semester teaching. You wouldn't believe it. And because it's writing without a soul.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Sherry,
you wouldn't believe how many I see from the 13 and 19-year-old.
I just have to draw your attention to this comment, Sherry. Ron says he never understood poetry until he listened to you at your interview with Martin Shaw.
I wonder what it was that helped him with that. Like,
I just wanted to say something about Martin really quick. It's like, you know, Liz, my sister here, who's been joining us today, she used to always tell me that I should be a memoir writer. She always told me that I should write memoirs. And and she thought I would be good at writing like that kind of like memoir style writing. And I couldn't really see a way to do it. And then I encountered Martin Shaw, and it's like, oh, Martin Shaw is doing what I would have done if I'd have known it was possible to do. So like the way Martin writes, where he like just blends mythology and just blurs the lines between poetry and prose. It's really it's very unique, and I never saw the possibility of that. It's like I never considered it, you know, because I was too focused on like on preset categories to even have the boldness to do something that unique. And so Martin's very inspiring to me. So
you know, like whenever go Michael.
Martin wrote a blurb for my book, actually.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, because I figured anybody who would get this book, Martin would get it.
Yep. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Who wants to go next?
I wrote one. Here's a little tiny one. A little tiny.
Okay.
I like little tiny, by the way, Marceline. Like
I do too, so that's good.
I said to a friend once who's also a poet, I said, I want to write 4 lines on a napkin. And of course that's a reference to Emily Dickinson, right? Because she has a whole She has a whole selection of napkin poetry that she
Okay.
wrote on napkins. And I mean, if you can do what she did, hats off. But anyway, somebody gave me a writing prompt once, and it wasn't a subject, but it was a I can't remember the name of it. It's you write so many lines that rhyme, and then you stick something in between, and then I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, I'll just read it. His little hand, it's called. His little hand was clenched so tight, I wondered what he held therein. 'Twas his to hold, try as I might. His little hand was clenched so tight. My heart he held in dark of night, my anguished soul and all my sin. His little hand was clenched so tight, I wondered what he held therein.
Nice. Who is that again?
Me.
That's Sherry.
It's you. Oh, beautiful.
I love playing with these, like, because, okay, so, like, I never went to school. Like, I didn't graduate high school either. So, and I don't know, there was a friend on the Discord in the writer server whose husband taught, I think, philosophy and maybe English literature or something like that. And so she would throw in these writing prompts every now and, she'd say, let's do a this, this, and this. And I'd say, what the heck are those? And then she'd say, oh, it's a rhyming scheme. It goes like this, A, B, A, B, A, whatever. And I'd be like, okay. And I found it so, like, having those kinds of constraints, just like, the creativity is just like pulsing, eh? Like, it kind of gets through that eye of a needle kind of thing. It's so good. And I wish someone would teach me more.
Well, you know who else didn't go to school at all was William Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a master of both formal and crazy verse.
All right. So I also write quite a few short little poems. And this one is called Icebox Bandit. Resent not the pleasure I take in cold milk, taken straight from the icebox. It was dark and I was thirsty, and it never tastes the same in a glass. The best things are always a little dangerous. I will be discovered, that's part of the allure. I am hungry always for your gentle derision. But do not think me dull. I know your cough is a ruse to hide your laughter, and your furrowed brow a thinly veiled form of praise. I know this story ends with a milk-mustachioed kiss under the stars.
Nice.
So good. I love them.
So I have a really short one by Rilke,
Oh, good.
which is actually it's a kind of rare. I used to teach it to. I remember. I know it by heart, but it's been a while since I recited it, so I don't think I want to break it out by heart in case I made a mistake. It's the title is the first line. I find you, Lord, in all things and in all my fellow creatures, pulsing with your life. As a tiny seed, you sleep in what is small, and in the vast, you vastly yield yourself. The wondrous game that power plays with things is to move in such submission through the world, groping in roots and growing thick in trunks and in treetops, like a rising from the dead.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And that is in Stephen Mitchell's translation. He's a great translator of Rilke.
Did I ever read you my translation of one of Rilke's poems?
No, you did not. Bust it out,
'Cause
girl.
I read a bunch of translations of this poem, and I'm like, what the heck, people?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find it here.
You lived in Switzerland for how long?
11 years. Yeah.
So her German's good.
Yeah, and the German is such a great language. If Laura's still listening, she can nod in agreement with me, because it has such a I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's a foreign to me, but there's so much more, like, like the word mensch or gestalt or geist, or you know what I mean? Like, we know these words from philosophy and so on. And they can't be translated into English because they don't encompass the true meaning of it. So anyway, I tried. I don't know. Nate read once. He read the thing, but this is my version of it. It's a familiar Rilke poem. I am too alone in the world, and yet not alone enough to consecrate every hour. I am too small in the world, and yet not small enough to be in front of you like a thing, dark and clever. I want my will and want to accompany my will through paths to action. And I want, in quiet, somehow hesitant times, when something approaches, to be among those who know, or alone. I always want to reflect you in full form, and I never want to be blind or too old to hold your heavy swaying image. I want to unfold. I don't want to stay bent anywhere, for there I am a lie where I am bent. And I want my sense true before you. I want to describe myself like a picture I saw, long and near, like a word I understood, like my everyday mug, like my mother's face, like a ship that carried me through the deadliest storm. I wonder what Stephen Mitchell's translation of that is, actually. I don't think I've read his. But there were just some things in there, like, especially about the will. And I don't have it in German here, but it's a great way. It's like the way that he does that with the will in German in that sentence is, well, maybe what I'll do is try to find it actually in German. And then you guys can just continue on. I should put the German here. I keep forgetting.
So I asked Laura to come and share some German poetry with us, but she's eating pizza.
Okay. I have to leave in a couple of minutes.
No problem, Michael. Thank you for joining us this morning. You want to give us a parting shot here?
Parting shot. Parting shot. All right. Let me find. Here we go. Parting shot. Well, listen, it's kind of a bummer, but I'll do it anyway. Because, well, this book, I mean, even Martin, when he read it, this is what he said, because there's these moments of wonder and splendor, but there's also, sorrow and suffering. Someone read you a bummer. I'll just do it Let me do it the cheating way. This one is entitled Ghosts. And about a phenomenon my wife calls the curse of Michael Martin, my wife calls it. All right, ghosts. Despair is the ultimate cruelty. But how does the awareness, the massive goodness of the world that we held as starry children, decay into such profound meaninglessness? My father, bleeding to death in my bed, his wrist opened by a utility knife, my sister calling me in tears. I returned home and tied makeshift tourniquets of black socks around his wounds, then broke the door off its hinges and walked out into the wind and the snow and the cold. I was 15. Thus began my acquaintance with despair. Only 3 years later, my childhood friend and sometime lover, a beautiful willowy girl named Lisa, who had hair the color of the sun and eyes that sparkled like wind on water, slept her death in a running car. A maiden who felt unloved, out of place, abandoned. Tell me, O angel, where was Grace? And where was Grace when Kevin, my uncle and my friend, placed his mouth around the barrel of a .22 and pulled the trigger? I still recall his wry sense of humor and how he taught me to play slide with a thimble, how he planted a row of carrots in sand so they'd grow straight and long. His life passed him by, so he did what he could to catch up with death. Is despair, too, like gravity and grace, a property of the universe?
Thank you, Michael. It was real. Let's put it that way. It was real. So it can't all be
That's real.
sunshine. It can't
Yeah,
all be
all
sunshine
true.
and rainbows.
Well, that's, I mean,
joining us this
that's the
morning.
whole point, right? That's the point of what poetry is. It's supposed to show the human condition in absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to, before Michael goes, I want to share this German
Right.
translation. It's the portion where he says, "I want my will, and I want my will to," and then I said something about leading me on. I don't have it here. Leading me down on paths or something like that. In the German, he says, "Ich will meinen Willen." So in German, you've got capitalized like nouns and verbs, right? So ich will is a verb. I will, I want. Meinen Willen, and that's capitalized. So that's my will, right? I want my will. Ich will meinen Willen and will meinen Willen begleiten. And so it has this begleiten means to accompany someone, right? So it's like, and then the die Wege zur Tat. So the die Wege is the path or the way. Zur Tat is to a deed, right? To a deed, towards a deed. So I don't know. It's so hard to make that, to translate that movement, because it actually feels like this. You know what I mean? As you're kind of meandering, right? Ich will meinen Willen und will meinen Willen begleiten. You know, like it's just so beautiful. So I just had to share that.
Yep.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like plus it flows like water, right?
Right.
The sounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know German that well, but we used to always ask a colleague of mine when I was a Waldorf teacher to read Novalis or Rilke to us in German, because we'd just be like, "Oh man, that sounds good."
Yeah. There's something about like the music of the language.
And that whole poem is actually really, it's really infused with the word will, and he flips it around, like he says will in small w, will in capital W, you know, which is want and will, right?
Virtuoso.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have to go.
Alrighty.
So,
Michael,
it's
thank
great
you
to
for
see y'all.
joining us. I will make
God bless.
sure to once we've ended the live stream, and I'll go in and edit the show notes and make sure that the link to your volume is in the notes. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks. All right. Take care.
Bye, Michael.
Bye, Michael.
I just wanted to say, Ron, I saw your comment, and yeah, I'd love to talk to you about what jumped out at you, because, you know, it was just the water I was swimming in at the time. I have no idea what it was.
Can you give us the line from Goethe that Anselman is? Do you know how would that?
Wie in Morgenglanz. I don't know if it's Glanze. Morgenglanze, du ringst mich anglüst, Frühling. Like in the shine. Wait, hold it up there. Like in the shine of morning. Morgenglanz is, you know, it's like when the dew is on the ground and the sun hits it and everything just, du ringst mich anglüst, Frühling. To ring something is to surround it, right? Which makes sense to us in English. Anglüst, I'm not entirely sure, because I don't speak German, I speak Swiss. I'd have to look up anglüst, but glühen is to glow, right? So I would say it's something like, as in the morning shine, you ring me glowingly, spring. Frühling is spring. It's the
Okay.
season. Shine at me.
Shine at me, Laura's
Okay,
giving
you
us
shine
okay.
at me. Okay.
There we go.
So it's can you hold it up again?
Yes, I can.
Shine at me. As in the morning shine, you surround me. Oh, mich anglust. You shine at me. Yeah. You. Well, there's two. Like there's a lot. Du rings mich anglust. Like you're surrounding me and shining at me at the same time.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
Or glow. Laura says or glow. Okay, so.
So, Marielle, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. Did you have something you'd like to share?
Hi. Yeah. Well, I happen to have a Rilke poem as well.
Okay.
It's hard to choose, um, but this is from the Book of Hours, and it's the first one on his Book of Pilgrimage. You are not surprised at the force of the storm. You have it growing. The trees flee. Flight sets the boulevards streaming, and you know he whom they flee is the one you move toward. All your senses sinking as you stand at the window. The weeks stood still in summer. The tree's blood rose. Now you feel it wants to sink back into the source of everything. You thought you could trust the power when you plucked. Now it becomes a riddle again. You again, a stranger. Summer was your house. You knew things stood. Now you must go out into your heart as unto a vast plain. Now the immense loneliness begins. The days go numb. The wind sucks the world from your senses like withered leaves. Through the empty branches the sky remains. It is be earth now, an even song. Be the line under the sky. Be modest now, like a thing ripened until it is real. So he began it all can feel when he reaches for you.
Lovely. Hard to go wrong with Rilke. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on and sharing with us. Appreciate it. How about you, Liz? Got anything else you'd like to share this morning?
I maybe am all shared out.
That's fine. I understand. We all have our bandwidth limitations. Thank you for coming. It was really great
Yes.
to do this with you.
It was really
It was
nice to meet you, and
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
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 Thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to share one that was in line with what Marceline wrote. It's
Okay.
not one that I wrote. It's one written by D.H. Lawrence.
Okay.
And I was made aware of it through Paul Kingsnorth. He featured it one time in his Substack, and I just think it's so incredible. It's called The Triumph of the Machine. They talk of the triumph of the machine, but the machine will never triumph. Out of the thousands and thousands of centuries of man, the unrolling of ferns, white tongues of the acanthus lapping at the sun, for one sad century machines have triumphed, rolled us hither and thither, shaking the lark's nest till the eggs have broken, shaken the marshes till the geese have gone, and the wild swans flown away singing the swan song at us. Hard, hard on the earth the machines are rolling, but through some hearts they will never roll. The lark nests in his heart, and the white swan swims in the marshes of his loins, and through the wide prairies of his breast a young bull herds his cows. Lambs frisk among the daisies of his brain, and at last all these creatures that cannot die driven back into the uttermost corners of the soul, will send up the wild cry of despair. The thrilling lark in a wild despair will trill down arrows from the sky. The swan will beat the waters in rage, white rage of an enraged swan. Even the lambs will stretch forth their necks like serpents, like snakes of hate, against the man in the machine. Even the shaking white poplar will dazzle like splinters of glass against him. And against this inward revolt of the native creatures of the soul, mechanical man, in triumph, seated upon the seat of his machine, will be powerless, for no engine can reach into the marshes and depths of a man. So mechanical man in triumph, seated upon the seat of his machine, will be driven mad from within himself and sightless, and on that day the machines will turn to run into one another. Traffic will tangle up in a long, drawn-out crash of collision, and engines will rush at the solid houses. The edifice of our life will rock in the shock of the mad machine, and the house will come down. Then far beyond the ruin, in the ultimate, remote places, the swan will lift up again his flattened, smitten head and look around. And rise, and on the great vaults of his wings will sweep round and up to greet the sun with the silky glitter of a new day, and the lark will follow trilling, angerless again. And the lambs will bite off the heads of the daisies for very friskiness. But over the middle of the earth will be the smoky ruin of iron, the triumph of the machine.
Thanks, Sherry. All right, Liz. I don't want to keep you if you need to go. But I think it was really great to have you on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and I will put a link to your novel in the show notes.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bet. All right. So, does anyone else have anything they'd like to share before we close out this morning's stream?
I guess I'll share one more if that's okay.
Go for it, Marcel.
That would be great.
I've been kind of wondering which one I should share because they're really different in topics. But this one might be good. So, okay. Death. It's something I resonate with, but I'm not allowed to say that. Why? Because when I was a kid, I was chased by monsters and terrified to try, to become who I am, to build my own wings and fly. Into the abyss with a handful of doubts, I'm greeted by love, both whispers and shouts. When I fly into a building and knock the wind from my feet, I'm told I should have listened, that I'm showered in defeat. But death doesn't have to mean the end, especially in my imagination, a world of make-pretend. You see, during this life and all that's to come, I've died a million times and only lived one. But just because I'm dead doesn't mean I'm not flying. I'm just picking and choosing what pieces of myself are worth living, and which are worth dying. Every day a funeral with burying the past, swinging around a shovel and breaking through glass. A mosaic of life and all that's good and right. I'm a patchwork of potential hiding in the night.
Oh, I like that one.
So, actually, So Chad has sent me a couple on Discord that he would like me to read. So I am going to honor that request. Let me, all right, here we go. This is from our good friend Chad. It's called Manna and Flesh and Blood. The Father has always provided. Through the desert they went. Out of tyranny into the unknown, dreams of old on their lips, from tyranny of man to an answered prayer to tyranny of wilderness. The tyranny of man provided many flavors and became bitter to the tongue, into the desert for 40 years. Dreams of bitter tongues and complaints on their lips, that's just like us. God brings manna, and with it comes awe, soon fades. With complaints of tyranny, of man, once again along comes the sun. He says, I am the bread of life. They've seen this with their eyes, but not their hearts. It's just like us to want our bread and blessing a la carte. Salvation's on the menu. When we think abundance is divine spark. I can't come in Lent. Seeds and fallen leaves of modernity enchantment. By Chad. I have like so in this okay, so I suppose I should show that I also don't like not everything I write is happy and sensual. This one.
That's those are the ones we don't share, right? We just
Yeah, so
they make the
this
biggest pile.
uh, this one is called Minotaur. You crawl through winding places in the dark. Bones crunch beneath you as you make your way through narrow passages, unable to find your bearings. You think you are lost, but what about the monster you came to hunt? Caught forever in a no man's land between animal and man, and hungry, always hungry, waiting for someone, anyone, to wander into the labyrinth so he can kill and devour, or be killed and suffer no more.
I got a quote that is just poetic in my opinion. It's written by William Stafford. The things you do not have to say make you rich. Saying the things you do not have to say weakens your talk. Hearing the things you do not have to hear dulls your hearing. And the things you know before you hear them, these are who you are. And this is the reason you are in the world.
Wow, that one's really nice.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, this is another one from Chad that he sent me. It was all a dream to dream about a dream, to take the sands of time, carefully direct the wind to form and fall each grain into walls, unto place and unto palace and malls. Tell him and talk of time, a clock to fulfill a mirror. Horrid horde, infinite singular in terror, blissfully divine. Each sat struck by nostalgia, pondering, riddled. What was your finest? What was our finest times? Was it our feet on the ground, eyes and ears in the moment, hands in the dirt? Each busy with focus, as the now and here and daylight burn. Was it in our eyes on the God striving for it, leaning into was, dazzled by sleight of hand, not here but where else? The discovery, the other, the seeds of enchantment expelled from, rolling down hill to streams, carried off to shoreline stones where birds extract and fly off to outer lands, dropping along the way. The discovery of desire to cage the fowl, harvest its process, study its bones, name the things, enchantment bemoans. Why have you forsaken me? Oh, remember when.
Nice, Chad.
Thank you, Chad, for sharing.
That was really great.
I like reading other people's poetry. There was I just wanted to say really quick. One of the poets who I invited to join us today is a very talented poet who happens to also be my ex-wife, but she's a wonderful person and a wonderful poet. And I had invited her to join us today, but she is ill, and so prayers would be appreciated. Her name is Christina. If you would pray for her, and hopefully she'll be well and be able to join us at some point in the future.
That would be great. I was looking forward to seeing her.
Sari's
again.
had a chance to talk to her before. She really is just a fantastic poet. So
there was a line in Chad's poem there about getting your hands dirty that reminded me of a song that I wrote years ago. I was living in Switzerland, and it was really grating on me because everybody was just so freaking clean. Like if you've ever been to Switzerland, that's one of the things that will stand out to you is how clean it is.
yeah.
And anyway, so I wrote this song. It's called Ode to a Swiss Housewife. I'm not going to sing it, but I'll just read it. This is my ode to a Swiss housewife. Actually, I was going to record it.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on those recordings. Sherry.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, maybe I should talk about that. So I am still collecting poems for this, but I am trying to get poets from around our little corner of the internet to do audio recordings of their poems. I also want the text too. So send me a copy of your poems with the text of the poem, along with a recording of you reading your poem, because I have a project in mind of something to do with it. And um, so I'm still I've got a few submissions, but I'm looking for a lot more. So if you have
Yeah.
something you want to send me,
I've got some
by
to
all
send
means,
you.
do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to remember this is not a poem, it's a song. So it has like a refrain. And
Sure.
down where the dirt is, that's where life's got to be. Down where the dirt is, far from sterility. Down where the dirt is, where the low life loves to grow. Down where the dirt is, there ain't no time for show. In the quiet of the moment, on your restless changing tide, with the fragile beauty standing at the muscle builder's side, and the cosmic ageless cream puffs like a locomotive train, hope the hands of time run backwards where they all start fresh again. Down where the dirt is, that's where life's got to be. Down where the dirt is, far from sterility. Down where the dirt is, where the low life loves to grow. Down where the dirt is, there ain't no time for show. There's a quiet hissing sound in the green and leafy trees, like life escaping from us as we tumble in the breeze. And in all of our ideas as to organize our way, there's a demon in our order, making sure of better days. So you see, in the garden of our lives where the life turns the soil, you know if it ever comes alive, frost will spoil, because down where the dirt is, that's where life's got to be. Down where the dirt is, far from sterility. Down where the dirt is, where the low life loves to grow. Down where the dirt is, there ain't no time for show.
When did you write that, Jerry?
Oh gosh, that must have been like 1990, 89, something like
Someday maybe I'll get to hear you and my mom sing it together.
that. Yeah. I called it the Ode to the Swiss Housewife.
So we're gonna keep going because I have people sending me poems. So
Cool.
yeah, but in the meantime, Marceline, if you'd like to share another one.
Sure. Sorry, I have to like hold my phone. The charger is unsteady, so if you see my camera all over the place, that's why.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay. I guess this is like me looking at the people that I used to hold on a pedestal and think that they had like the correct moral compass or were at least supposed to like reflect that, and then realizing that's not the case. So yeah, you were the ones we were supposed to look up to, the ones that were supposedly here to guide us through the morality of life, the wrongness of the right. You must know in your mind that the human race cannot be confined to a label meant to refine not only our mouths and eyes, but to place our legs in a bind. It saddens me to break a barrier of trust, to tear through our bond with the proposition of equity. Equal opportunity cannot guarantee the outcome of life and its longevity, but ultimately, it's a system broken, building houses on the souls and backs of the ones hoping, praying for a better life, this time without a God. But you want to exterminate a higher being who is there to call in the flawed. The simultaneously out and underspoken nature of human beings, eating up existence until we exceed. Evolution in the inevitable breakdown region of humanity itself, and the walls beyond the tangible and unimaginable makeup of life and death to be drawn from hell. Yeah.
Nice. A little shattering of the Tower of Babel there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
No,
It's good. We're all about that in this little corner of the
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
We like it.
So this
Thank
one
you,
was
thank
sent.
you.
This one was apparently there are people who are too shy to get on here and read their own poetry. They're sending me their poetry to read
Well,
for
then
them.
just refuse to read it, and they'll get
No,
on.
I do. I would like next time. Please come and read it yourself. But I will indulge for this occasion. So this is from President Foxman, aka Noah. Death's slender fingers stretch for the sky, frozen, bare. The earth is silent sanctum. Any record of time before ground to dust, a single seed buried deep below. long forgotten, a single spark, a flash, that lasts but a moment. First the undergrowth, then the trees, engulfed in tongues of fire, yet not consumed. A kingdom of 1,000 years, gone overnight. Life returns, and the cold is forgotten in prosperity. All to forget the seed. Hello, Laura.
Who was that
Welcome.
from? Sorry, Nate. Who was that from?
That was Noah, President Foxman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got
You know what
another.
I
got another one
out
from
here?
Chad too, but Chad's got to get. I don't care if he has to get in here
Nolan.
with. He can come and read poetry with the luchador mask on if he needs to, but I'd like to come like if next one he has got to read himself.
He's probably busy doing something that he can't get on YouTube.
That's probably true. That's
Nolan,
probably true.
Nolan also
He might be
has-
tiling. That is
Yeah.
very true. Okay, I'll read Chad's other poem, but not yet. Let's
I just want to point out, Nate, how many women have been on this stream.
I know. Yes, I know. This is good. This is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How to
Absolutely.
get the women out of the
Just
woodwork?
a
Read some poetry.
just a heads up, I do have to go in a minute. Can I share one more before I go?
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
By all means.
I'm sorry if these are dark. This is just kind of like these honestly were like journal things, and now I just post them. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No one can understand this problem. It's one that's inherently mine. It's the stealer of time. It's the one that reflects on life, the one that's keeping me alive. A demon tapping my shoulder in the middle of the night. When you think evil, you associate a monster instilling you with fear. But what about the one staring you back in the mirror? I know you hate me. I hear the critic in my head, bouncing between my ears, cutting my throat with words you said. Trust me, I get it. You hate the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I say I'm okay, even when I'm not. It's not a whisper when the hallway wraps around and into the foot of my brain. I'm the poster child for the player of games. I endure it because it's mine to keep. I'll live this life and the next on the stake because that's me weighing the implications of exactly what's at stake. I understand that it's essential for human beings that we install a change. I understand it's essential for humanity that I don't change. It's the driving force between you all and me, the player of games. A promise to change this world, regardless of a betrayed heaven or promised hell. I won't stop until it kills me, but only time will tell.
Wow. So that's really nice, Marceline. I love that.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on the stream with us today.
Thank you. This was very nice.
Yes, we want more
Yeah.
participation. That's why we're doing this. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to do one of these a month. That's my goal. Is we're going to do one of our live streams a month is going to be dedicated to poetry. So
Awesome. Well, it was nice meeting you guys, and you guys have great work, honestly. So
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, and hope you join us again.
Yeah.
I will definitely check it out. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah,
Great.
Thank you.
coming on.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye bye.
So is this going to be like an all-day poetry stream? Seems like you're just going and going.
Well, I have a planning meeting for the conference that I'm putting on in September. That is at 11. So I've got to stop. I'll probably want to stop a little pretty soon, actually, because I need some time.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I gotta go do my animals because they're all like. No.
Oh, by the way, are you going to make the meeting at 11?
Yeah, if we stop soon. If I
Okay,
go.
all right.
soon,
So
I
yeah,
will.
you need time. So Sherry, we got to quit pretty soon because Sherry's got to feed her animals, and then we
you
have
don't
another
have to.
meeting at 11.
Well, I can read you one of my poem translations.
Yeah.
I love
This
your German cultural appropriator title.
If you want to read it in German first, and then
Yes,
and then
please.
give us a translation, that's okay too.
Okay,
Because I
we'll see
can
how
enjoy
good
those.
my German mouth is, though, because I speak French at school every day, and I almost never speak German anymore, so let's see how it goes.
It's
This is
okay.
Eichendorff's poem Waldgespräch. Es ist schon spät, es wird schon kalt. Was reitst du einsam durch den Wald? Der Wald ist lang, du bist allein. Du schöne Braut, ich führ dich heim. Groß ist der Männer Trug und List, vor Schmerz mein Herz gebrochen ist. Wohl irrt das Waldhorn her und hin. O flieh, du weißt nicht, wer ich bin. So reich geschmückt ist Ros und Weib, so wunderschön der junge Leib. Jetzt kenn ich dich, Gott steh mir bei, du bist die Hexe Lorelei. Du kennst mich wohl, vom hohen Stein, schaut still mein Schloss tief in den Rhein. Es ist schon spät, es wird schon kalt. Kommst du nimmermehr aus diesem Wald. Okay, sorry, I slipped up a couple times there. I said S
That's all
instead of
right.
S for some reason. Oh well. All right. So I called it Meeting in a Forest. Here we go. The hour is late, the air grows cold. Why ride forsaken through the wood? The wood is long, thou art alone. O lovely maid, I'll lead thee home. False and deceitful are all men. My heart is rent with bitter pain. The hunting horn has led thee astray. O flee, thou knowest not my name. So richly adorned our lady and steed, so beautiful and young indeed. I know thee now. God be my guide, the witch thou art, the Lorelei. Thou know'st me well. My silent keep looks down into the Rhine so deep. The hour is late, the air grows cold. Shalt never leave this evil wood.
I like he repeats that line. The hour is late. The air grows cold. Yeah, it's great. Who was that?
Eichendorff, but
Eichendorff.
Robert Schumann did a setting of it as well, so you can hear it as a song.
Oh,
If
cool.
you Google it with Schumann, yes. So, and then maybe if we want to end on a silly note, I could read you my accidental machine translation poetry.
Okay.
Which you may have seen on Discord. I don't know if you guys saw this when I posted it.
I don't think I saw it.
Oh, okay. So I used to work for a team of people who were translating complaints for a big company.
Okay.
And somebody wrote into the company complaining that their diapers gave, saying like, your diapers gave my son a rash, basically. And they wrote a paragraph about it. But they wrote it really carelessly, and they didn't put much punctuation in, and there was bad capitalization, and some things were confusing. Maybe some words were missing here and there. So the machine translator, like the translation software, just really glitched over it and ended up spitting out this thing that was very unlike the original content that it was supposed to translate.
Oh, I love
it. It was kind of poetic. So I put it on my blog, and I just like chopped it into individual lines. And if you kind of imagine it with like a kind of like beat poet, snappy thing going on behind it, it could be interesting. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
It's called These Pants.
Oh my goodness.
I put my son on my son, number 6, and he scratched herself. Thought it was all about this pants. I thought that it comes from these pants. I am still sending a picture of these pants. I'm still sending pictures of these pants. I'm still sending pictures of these pants. I still send photos of them. Maybe the pants came from the pants. That's what it ended up writing.
That's great. No, it's good to end on a silly note. That's wonderful. All right, Sherry, I will let you go and feed your animals, and I will see you later for our planning committee meeting for the conference. Laura, thanks for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody.
One thing, Ron's asking how he could contact me.
Grailcountry@gmail.com.
There you go.
And I can forward it to you.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Nate. Bye-bye.
Yep.